Diogenes and Jose. So, because this panel, Black Diasporic Photography, Altering and Spirit Practices, is kind of different. We're going to be talking a little bit about the beginnings of these installations that you're going to be going with them for questions that you have. So it's gonna be different. I'm just gonna let Jose from Adjuntas and Diogenes from Ponce, Puerto Rico to talk about their works. So, Jose.
Okay. José Arturo, hola, good evening. Primero que nada, buen provecho, bon appetit, enjoy the food. My name is José Arturo Ballester Panelli. I'm a visual artist from the Caribbean and specifically from Adjuntas. It's a town in the mountains of Puerto Rico. And I came here as part of the Cumbre Afro. I'm very, first, thank you all the people in the CUNY, at the CENTRO, and the organizers of the Cumbre Afro for giving me the opportunity to show my photos in this event. Let's start from the beginning. We are a continuum, somos un continuum, la diáspora. Los orígenes, the origins of this work is very cool because it was in the aftermath of Maria, Rican Maria. I've been doing graphic design for many years, and I couldn't do graphic design, so I was like many other Puerto Ricans, like a zombie walking the city. And I found a job in construction and demolition of the buildings that were destroyed by the hurricane. And like a year prior to that, I ended up working in St. Thomas and St. John in that because building thing and doing demolition, basically. And at some point, I was working during the week, and during the weekends, I would go out and visit different islands and take pictures. And at some point, I went to St. John, and in St. John there are 3 peaks. I went to the highest one, and you can see maybe 23 islands in a row. And you know, it came to my head, okay, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Boricua, but this is bigger. So I'm Caribbean, and that sort of created a psychic click in my head. And after that, I came back to Puerto Rico and I started doing workshops for kids in the most affected areas of the hurricane. And you know, one thing led to another. And in that time, I started working in a project at the Goico School, and it's the beginning of this research of how we live, how we Afros live in many parts of Latin America, Aviala, and Africa, and places that I have been lucky enough to visit. And I was thinking, while Jose Cepeda was talking about Santurce, that there's also black people in the mountains, you know, hay negro en la montaña, especially where I come from. Mucho es área de cimarrones, it's marron land because we have one of the biggest plantations in the south of my hometown, Ponce, and then in Utuado. So the obvious place to escape was those mountains that are very difficult to get to. So doing that work, a commission from Kell Foundation came, and it was in 1921. We started working on this project, and I started working on the fractals in nature, and starting seeing this fractality expressing itself in how we live. This is started using places in Santurce, and that's what I wanted to talk about. When I came from the mountains, I went to the place where many people go before it has been going, which is Santurce, Cangrejo. And I went to Cangrejo to study, and now talking to Mayra, I ended up living in Cangrejo, and I'm being part of that community for many years. And I consider myself part of that transition, the people that transit through Santurce to New York, or vice versa, from New York or the States to Puerto Rico back to the mountains. So I'm in that transition area. This installation deals with the fractals in nature, but also talking about this fractality that we have in our lives. I've been getting these comments about some of the pictures, people relating to pictures in Soweto, saying, I saw that image in my neighborhood in La República, or I saw that image in my neighborhood in Ponce. These images are composed of panels, photos printed on acrylic. And the idea came one day. I was traveling to one of the islands, and it came to me, how would it look if I take a piece of the ocean and bring it up? And from that idea, this came. And this is also a project that dealt with the community. This installation was done in one of the most important places in Cangrejo, which is the farmers market, La Plaza del Mercado, which is still working and running. And this installation was done in one of the spaces inside that farmers market. That installation included an interview of 6 community leaders, and we honored them placing their images in La Plaza del Mercado, and those images stayed there for like 5 years. They took them down like a year ago because they were going to clean the space. And it was, for them, it was very emotional, and they were very proud because maybe for the first time they were seeing themselves. They're represented in a dignified way, and being recognized as leaders, as people that are important for our community. That's an image of the installation. This is another recent project of, and this deals with my view of nature. I am from a part of the island which is forest, and I grew up in that forest. And I see myself as part of that nature. I don't see nature as something far from me, or like a scientific looking at nature in a study. No, I'm part of that nature. And this piece works with that. I'm using organic materials. This red soil is from my territory in Adjuntas. The leaves, the dry leaves, were picked from under a ceiba tree that we have in our property. And the images are done in cyanotype over gauze. And then in the back, we have there's a video of one of our good friends, Helen Ceballos, doing a performance. And that image is based on the idea of the gungus. So you can see the similarity.
The ancestors.
Our ancestors, exactly. And the idea is that you walk into this path, and you get into the center of the circle, and you become nature again. Or go back to your original state. And it's funny because when I went to pick up the piece like a month later, there was a trail in the leaves. There was a trail of people coming in and out, and yeah, it was very interesting and very beautiful. These are the details of the images. These are very dear friends of mine. This is Brenda Cruz, one of our best artists, the Sandra Guzman, Beto Torrens, that's myself, Mayra, and Lidiana Davila.
That's what people do.
People interacting with the piece. And this is another project. And as you can see, there's a connection between all these projects. They're all dealing with our Afro-descendants, ancestry, territory, changing the narrative on how we see ourselves, or how they pretend to project ourselves. And this is an artist's book based on unpublished poem, 3 poems by Mayra, and the book is called Cimarronai. I picked Moyukba, Omituto, and the futurist Cimarronai. And the idea here is that she's entering this underworld, this meditation, this epoch, and this fractal space, and then the journey, the poetry, the images. And there's representations of, things that some people might recognize if you're in the practice of Santeria, or sorry. And this is the entrance, and this is not an exit; it's a continuum. Then.
Hey, you forgot something. You won.
Okay. This piece won the.
I
Thank
have
you.
a microphone. And you
Thank you.
won the first
This
prize.
piece won the first prize in a contest in Puerto Rico. It was called Libros Negros, done by Melon Foundation, Tiznando el País, and La Casa del Libro, el Museo del Libro in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I was honored to participate in it, and it won the first prize, and I'm very proud of that. One of my best work. Thank you, lady, for reminding me. And then the travels. I've been very lucky to and been able to travel to different places. And one thing that I always try to do is to capture that, to go to a place where there's an Afro community where it's a donde no. Entonces, eso es bien fácil. And then take pictures of how we live, how we move. Normal things, nothing posed, nothing in a studio. It's not, I don't like to say, it's not documentary photography, it's not street photography. It's my way of seeing and feeling the way I feel when I go to these places, because I feel most of the time, I feel like home. It's the same. Cuando fui a Cali, con el compañero Darío aquí, yo me sentía como estaba caminando en Río Piedra. When I went to Dakar, I felt like walking in a huge, immense Río Piedras. And I went to Boca Chica, en Cartagena, y eso es como estar en Piñones. Same thing. So you're going to see those pictures. Some of those pictures are outside. That's in Boca Chica, Dakar. Okay. What I want to say about the travels is that the opportunity to do those, it's always a learning process. For example, in one of those images, I use higueras as a construction material for my installations and my artwork. And when I went to Patilla, I find this old lady working with higueras for a different purpose, but the same material. And there I learned that it's easier to clean them if you boil them. And then the idea of this whole project is that we're a continuum. One of the experiences that I had in one of these travels is that I had the chance to go to Boré, the island. And in that island, there's a door that says "Door of No Return." And all of a sudden, I'm looking at my friends. Dario was there, Mayra was there, a lot of people was there crying, and very emotional and very intense place and sacred. And I thought to myself, and I'm sure many of my friends thought the same. Okay, it says no return, but yet here I am. So we went back. And not only back, but in good health, with many projects, and a progression, immense progression from that moment when it all started to now. And that's the idea behind all this. They try to erase us, they try to kill us, but still we are here. And we continue to expand and to grow and to create. And that's it. one thing that I noticed also in Dakar, I coincided with the Bienal, the Dakar Bienal, and looking at, that's one example of one of the pieces, but looking at the artwork that was shown there, there was a dialogue. It was like being in Puerto Rico watching the artwork of my friends. Same materials, same language, everything, the same, without speaking to each other. So that connection is there. It's not broken. It's still going on. Through art, through dialogue, through this, what we're doing here. Eso es cualquier lugar, pero ese específicamente es Cartagena. But that could be Santurce, Cangrejo, that could be anywhere. And then, and with this I finish, all this is part, it has like many legs, and this is part of a bigger project that I'm working on, which is Photo Afro, and it's a project that pretends to be, es un proyecto que, para crear un archivo de fotógrafos afro, de fotografía afro de toda Latinoamérica y de sus diásporas, con el propósito de eventualmente hacer una bienal para fotógrafos afro y de fotografía afro. De ahí sale un archivo, de ahí sale un directorio, y una cosa bien cool, y es que pueden notar en mi trabajo, I don't like to use, I've been in museums, I've been in galleries, formal galleries, but I prefer to use different spaces, like Goico School, which has a rescue space in Cangrejo from after the hurricane, open spaces. Now we're building a sala, a space to show art right in the middle of the forest. No hanging, no nails, no nothing, just the forest. You would create. And as part of that project, the idea is to create a hub base in Puerto Rico, sort of the main gallery, to put it in somehow, and then we have las salas, se me olvidó la palabra en inglés de salas. The halls of, we have a hall in Brazil, we have a hall in Ecuador, we have a hall in Cali, we have a hall in different places. And then there's a sort of, nos vamos corriendo las exhibiciones, and we can all share information and knowledge and images in one place. And thank you very much.
Empezamos, no acabamos. Dale, Diogenes, cara. It's your turn. Estamos con los ancestros. So
Sí.
now, we're gonna
Gracias a Melanie que yo pude entrar, abrir esa ventana ancestral, porque anteriormente yo tenía una información media errónea.
Okay.
Entonces yo les recomiendo a todo el mundo que hablen con Melanie, porque ella sí
Hagan su lista. So, una lista, Melanie.
pero abrir ese portal es bien importante.
Yeah.
Ancestral, porque hablamos de los ancestros,
Exactamente.
pero no sabemos quiénes son. Y no sabemos cómo que están ligados, porque no solamente son nuestra familia,
Así mismo.
es cómo nos llegó a África, ¿verdad? Cuando estuve en el Panteón en Haití, ahí me di cuenta de por qué a mi familia le decían Cafrí. Porque hay una tribu, según el Panteón de Haití, que de la tribu Cafri. Después, entonces allá en la playa de Ponce, pues, en vez de ser Cafri, le pusieron Cafrí. Y se quedó mi bisabuelo y mi abuelo y mis tíos se quedaron Cafrí. En la playa los conocen por Cafrí. Sí.
¿Quieres pasar ahora a leer un poco del proceso de la instalación?
Sí.
Gracias.
Pero es que a mí me gusta articular un poquito mi pensamiento y lo hago por disciplina. No porque pues yo puedo hablar por horas, ¿verdad? Pero me gustaría, antes de esto, como está hablando de abrir un portal ancestral, que cerráramos los ojos, ¿verdad? Y miremos la luz y escuchemos la luz. La luz que viene de nuestra mente o nuestra alma, ¿verdad? El corazón, ¿verdad? Y que nos relaja el cuerpo. Yo creo que es suficiente, ¿verdad? Podemos estar horas enteras meditando de esa forma. Es tan simple. Nada. Primero, me siento muy contento de estar aquí y compartir con Arturo una exposición con todos ustedes y ver gente, muchas caras conocidas, que es importante. Allá está Carol y Neida, que están firmando para un proyecto que están trabajando sobre la diáspora. Nada, voy a empezar con un pensamiento, ¿verdad? Y después sigo por ahí. My work aims to explore, reconfigure, and recontextualize both my personal history and the collective stories of our community. These themes manifest through integrated altars or chapel for reflection, representing layers of experience and culture. Notarán que el inglés no es mi primer lenguaje, es el español, pero tengo un acento fuerte. ¿Ah? Sí. Sí. Rather than offering finished product, my installations are a process, an ongoing quest. By deconstructing the threats of religion, official history, technology, art, culture, politics, and oral history, I believe we strengthen our connection to the universal chain of history. This process of becoming a link in this chain is as significant as breaking the chains of slavery itself. Es uno de los pensamientos, ¿verdad?, que como arqueologista, que para mí creo que es importante este proceso. I am deeply honored to present my altar installation, Cumbre Afro, the Negro digs of his past, in tribute to Arturo Alfonso Schomburg, for the Cumbre Afro 2025. Que la pueden ver allá arriba, como verla pronto. Okay. Preparing an altar is a deeply personal and intimate act for me, and it is both a privilege and a responsibility to create one in honor of Schomburg, a Puerto Rican who devoted his life to researching our African heritage. Schomburg traveled the world collecting documents, artworks, and artifacts to challenge the false narratives that erase the richness of our ancestral past. Cumbre Afro, the Negro dig up his past, is an altar installation that channels the energetic forces of the Caribbean Sea, calling upon the African ancestors who arrived on the shores of the Caribbean islands and the Americas. I conceived of this altar on the shores of La Playa de Ponce in Puerto Rico. And the title, The Negro Because His Past, is inspired by Schomburg's 1925 article in Survey Graphic Magazine, which serves as the starting point for this work. It was exciting to look at this material as an archaeologist. The installation incorporates elements from my previous works, such as archaeology encounter with ancestral history, which I worked with in conjunction with Melanie. She was I call her the curator, the performatic curator, which she organized. And then I did the installation at the House of Culture over there. And I was very excited and very moving too. And then the other one was The Crown of the Earth, which I presented at the International Triennial of the Caribbean. in the Modern Museum in Dominican Republic. Both of them, which explore the spiritual journey of Afro descendants and the legacy of our ancestors. From archaeology, I have included symbolic figures, the Yoruba god and guardian of the crossroads, and La Madama, the matriarchal figure representing the wisdom, knowledge, and strength of our familial and collective ancestors as enslaved Black women. These figures call upon for wisdom, protection, and healing, invite viewers to engage with Schomburg's enduring legacy while challenging the colonial narrative that have historically erased Afro-Caribbean knowledge and identities. As an archaeologist, I focus on visual representation that explore oral history, memory, mythology, ritual, and cultural identity within transnational contexts. Like archaeologists uncover and reinterpret artifacts to offer new perspective on the past. My work enacts an appropriation of cultural objects, historical artifacts to assess the past and reinterpret the present in a trans-Caribbean and transnational dialogue. One conceived in La Playa, Cumbre Afro, the Negro dig up his past, moved to El Barrio in New York City, where the urban energy of the area provoked deep reflection. El Barrio's metaphors of displacement, the reaffirmation of culture, and the mystical presence of Afro-descendant spiritual traditions all contributed to the spiritual synthesis that shaped the final art. The installation integrates found objects and popular cultural symbols from the surrounding environment, including statues like Las Siete Potencias de la Madama and El Egua, which are significant spiritual symbols in Afro-Caribbean tradition. Included in Cumbre Afro, the Negro Dig Up His Past is a documentary by filmmaker and curator Judy Escalona. Through her research on Schomburg, Escalona learned that Schomburg has studied on the Puerto Rican abolitionist Jose Julian Acosta, which helped shape his strong sense of identity as a Black Puerto Rican. By the time he arrived in New York City in 1891, Schomburg believed in Pan-Africanism and the independence of Puerto Rico and Cuba, founding an organization with the Cuban revolutionary Jose Marti. It is essential to note that Schomburg was not an American citizen at the time. His citizenship would come later, following the Spanish World War and World War First or One. In conclusion, you see the first shot? Cumbre Afro, the Negro digs up his past for the Cumbre Afro 2025 summit began as a thesis born from my experiences in La Playa de Ponce, contrasted with the antithesis of the streets of El Barrio in New York City. My experience collecting statues and magical objects in the local botanicas sparks the spiritual synthesis that shaped this art. This work reflects on the civil rights movement, the commemoration of our ancestors, and the ongoing search for Afro-descendant identity. The figures of El Igual, La Madama, and the transmigratory figurines riding bicycle symbolize the resilience of African heritage at cultural crossroads. Chamber's message, the Negro decopies past, continue to inspire us today, urging Afro-descendants to investigate, reclaim, and express our identities in various ways, socially, politically, spiritually, and artistically, as we continue this important journey into the 21st century. Thank you.
So now, they would like to go for the question and answers. Who likes to dictate?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that.
I would like to say something really quick,
Instruction.
and it's regarding the thing about our relationship, because we are both Ballester. To be honest, I don't care. You know what? You know why? Because I'm gonna make this story really short. When I was like 16, 17, I was working in an art gallery in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I had to work and frame Diogenes' work, and I was amazed how the size of the pieces, the beauty, the technique. And I said to myself, when I grow up, I want to be like this. I would love to meet this guy. But it never happened. So years passed, and here I am with my master, mentor, Diogenes, showing a piece together. And, you know, I'm getting emotional here.
Gracias.
Thank you. So our relationship is spiritual, it's artistic. We're related in deeper senses.
Yes.
Gracias.
Okay, let's go.